top 5 indicators for beginners, such as for new investors, that help analyze the market. Let's go, let's take a look right away. The first indicator is RSI. This indicator helps all beginners identify a reversal, or on the contrary, the direction of the trend. But look, next we'll take a look at a trend indicator. But our first indicator is basically responsible for overbought and oversold conditions, meaning when the RSI goes above 70 or below 30. This means that here the buyers have overdone it, and here the sellers have gone too far. Accordingly, at these particular moments in the market, you can clearly observe that the price tends to make these kinds of characteristic moves. So you'll actually see that when a reversal happens, at all of these significant peaks, when the RSI indicator approaches the upper zone, or even goes beyond the 70 or 30 levels, that's typically when a reversal occurs. This indicator is very convenient and practical to use together with support and resistance levels. For example, if you mark some important level, and accordingly you're not entirely sure about the next move, this can help. Whether the price will break through this level or not, you can mark this level. Next, add the RSI indicator and see, for example, that we enter the oversold zone. Accordingly, from here we can expect to bounce from this level. Let's take a look right away. In practice, the price has been at the upper level. So here we can observe that there is a fairly strong level, as we can see. By the way the candles touched it, we can go. And I see that it touched it once and kind of approached it, each time going higher and higher. And here at the last moment, it touched it. It touched exactly our 70 zone, accordingly. From here, we can expect a pretty decent reversal. So basically, once it came here, we understand that the market is overbought, so we should expect a pullback down. If we were in the lower zone, then we would be waiting for a pullback upward instead. Since the market was oversold, we needed to bring some volatility into the market. If you see that the RSI is between 70 and 30, you can safely trade based on your technical analysis. In other words, no reversals are expected within this range, so you can confidently trade here. But as soon as the RSI goes above 70 or below 30, that means a reversal is coming soon. Now, you know about this, right? This indicator is specifically recommended for use in the regular financial market and not on peer-to-peer, because that is where it actually works most effectively. On TIS, we have slightly different algorithms, so I also recommend using regular Japanese candlesticks regarding the time settings. Here, everything depends on your individual strategy. If you need anything, you can write to our managers and they'll help you out and advise you on the best way to set it up. By the way, we have our elite club where you can copy our trades with our guidance. So we have special people, our professional traders, who share valuable trading signals every day. So if you want to copy our signals, you need to send us a direct message saying, I want to become an elite member. And by the way, we also have copy trading, which is when you connect your account to ours. And then your trades are automatically copied accordingly. Right now, you can see people who have successfully joined copy trading and are happy with the results. If you want the same, just send us a direct message saying, I want to join copy. I'll leave a link to our direct messages in the description for your convenience. Now let's move on to the second indicator. The second indicator is the Alligator. This is already a fully developed and comprehensive tool that you can confidently work with and reliably earn with. If you take the time to set it up correctly and practice using it properly, it becomes truly a high quality and dependable tool, suitable for both the regular financial market as well as for OTC trading. It clearly shows us the prevailing trend in the market. In other words, it shows how the trend is moving, and after a reversal, we can work with it. So this is a trend indicator, which is exactly what we use it for, in situations like these. Actually, working with this indicator is pretty straightforward, so let's break down how to use it. Look, first of all, you need to understand that this is a trend indicator. If there really is a trend, we can work with it. If the price is just standing still, we don't work. Again, if we have an uptrend or a downtrend, we can confidently work with it. As I mentioned, it works great on the regular market, especially on the spot market. Trends are identified perfectly, both here and there, and on the spot market, our win rate is even higher. The win rate percentage is really good. The way we work is actually very simple. For example, if there's an upward movement, The price moves from top to bottom and enters between our green and orange lines. We open a buy trade, and we can also open a trade if the price goes even lower. For example, if it's between the orange and blue lines, that's also acceptable. But if the price goes completely outside the indicator at that moment, we won't open a trade. That would already be an unsafe trade, so look. Here, for example, we can see that there was an upward movement. The price, in this case, entered the zone from above, and from here we could have entered a trade for 1 minute. Again, the price enters this indicator from top to bottom, and we could have entered a buy trade from here. And here we have the same situation, meaning we could have worked here. Here we had an entry point, and accordingly, if we look at the indicator, we can actually count about 3 to 5 such entry points. But we only work with the trend movement, meaning when the price is moving down, we open a trade. Look here too. We have it. Here, the price came between these two lines. We could have opened sell trades, meaning we work in the direction of the trend. If there is a downward movement, we open trades down. If there is an upward movement, we open trades up. When the price is standing still, like here, we skip such situations. Regarding the settings, again, for both the OTC market and the regular one, you can use a universal strategy. These are 15-second Japanese candlesticks and a 1-minute trade duration. That'll work fine. We figured out indicator number 2. Now let's move on to indicator number 3. Our third indicator will have channel movement, and this indicator will... By the way, for all beginners, since we're dealing with channels, this is a very big part of our trading. Since the price moves very obediently within the channel, we don't have that kind of chaos. We have a really clear and well-defined channel that the price consistently follows, and you could definitely say that it really does obey this channel. And for a beginner, this is a really good opportunity to learn these channels, how they work, why, for example, in an uptrend, the price might sometimes not follow the channel, or in a downtrend. And accordingly, when the price is moving sideways, that's when there's complete order in the market. It's all because of the channels. You could say that's the mechanics of our market. That's why Keltner channels are actually great for beginners to learn. First of all, the mechanics, and secondly, you can already trade using them. So if you set up this indicator correctly, it will give you ready-made entry points. And what does that look like? Suppose the price is moving up and nears the upper zone. You see that's an entry point and open a 1-minute sell trade. The same applies to the downside. The price moves down, approaches the outer boundary, actually touches it, and you open a buy trade. Again, it's the same thing. The price approaches the upper boundary and you open a trade for a drop. But keep in mind that this strategy is quite risky, because sometimes the price can slip past the upper or lower line, and accordingly, you could lose your money on that impulse. So be careful here. The indicator mainly works. On the regular financial market, you can adjust it for EOTC, but there will be fewer pin rec signals there. So it's better to use it on the regular financial market, and it's best to use standard Japanese candlesticks. You can choose any time frame you want, 15 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute, or even 2 minutes. As you can see, these channels will work everywhere. That's why Keltner channels are a great option to learn how channels work. Let's move on to the fourth indicator. The fourth indicator, honestly, it really should have been placed among the very first ones we discussed, shows beginners the overall trend in the market. Of course, we can also use it for independent trading purposes, and there are certain strategies that incorporate it, which use both Heiken Ashi and regular Japanese candlesticks together, but I still strongly recommend using it specifically for the purpose of identifying the trend. So if you experiment and play around with the multiplier value, you'll really be able to see much more clearly where the trend is heading. You'll see where the trend is, and on the other hand, where there isn't one. So the higher you set the multiplier, the more strongly the trend will be shown, basically. And you can even set up the indicator so that it shows you just one clear trend. That way, you won't get confused by any movements. You'll clearly see the upward movement, the downward movement, and accordingly where it changes. And as you can see, if you set up this indicator like that, you'll be able to see exactly how the trend changes. This indicator is also more suited for learning purposes. If you want these settings, then just set it from air. 50 multiply by 5. And then you'll be able to work. If you want it to be more precise, then you need settings like these. You also need to adjust the period for yourself, but then it will be very precise trading. By the way, you can use this indicator to trade in our elite channel. So how does it work? For example, you get a signal from our trader to go long on the GBP CAD currency pair. Then you check if, for instance, there's a trend, you just open the trade in the direction of the trend. If the trade is not trending, if it's against the trend, then you need to check. Maybe there are some levels here. Maybe the SuperTrend indicator is showing us a line, and we might see a reversal from it. In other words, you need to watch what's happening. This way, you'll also be able to learn. That's why I recommend using this during our trading sessions. And in fifth place, or you could even say first place, in terms of effectiveness, the Ichimoku Cloud indicator takes the lead. This indicator has proven to be the best standalone indicator. That means you don't need to use any additional indicators or clarifications. You just take this one indicator, set it up correctly, and you're good to go. It gives you the best, highest quality entry points. I'll say right away, it's sometimes hard to handle. A lot of beginners don't understand it and get confused by market situations. So there are still risks involved with it. And its downside is that you'll have fewer entry points, but almost all of them will be very safe. We've seen in our community that even people with absolutely no prior experience using this indicator, as long as they set it up correctly, can really do well with it. So there's truly nothing complicated about it at all. Yes, at first it looks completely different from what you might expect. If you look at its default appearance, you probably won't understand anything at all, and it can seem confusing or overwhelming at first glance. It'll just be a total mess. So we've specifically configured it and use our signature settings. And it's exactly these settings that deliver the biggest and best results. Again, how do we actually work with this indicator? So for example, let's say we have a downward movement. That means this is also a trend indicator. If we're going down, that means we'll be opening trades to sell. Here's a situation on the market where we have, as soon as the candle enters this range between the two blue lines, we open a sell trade. Here's our entry point, and here's another entry point. There were actually a lot of entry points here, and here we already had one loss. So after that, our trading session ended. So we ended up with about 6 to 8 winning trades for every loss. Here's an example of an upward movement. And here too, we can count a large number of successful entry points. All because, again, this is a trend indicator and it's set up correctly. So our margin for error is minimal, and as I mentioned, the stops are around 70 to 80%, and in some cases even reach up to 90%. It's perfect for both the OTC market and the regular financial market, so you can use it anywhere. As for the settings, I recommend using Heiken Ashi candles. They show the trend better and work better with these indicator settings. Set 15-second candles, 1 minute per trade, or for example, you can set 2 or 3 minutes, and then select 30 seconds and accordingly 1 minute. This approach provides you with flexible timing options. This indicator will also work with the trend. As you can see, even on 1 minute candles, we also have a trend and entry points there as well. It really is a solid indicator, so I recommend taking a closer look at it. Write in the comments which indicator you like the most. Basically, this is a basic introduction, since many beginners get confused about which indicators to use. I showed you the most effective ones. RSI shows us reversals, the Keltner channel shows channel movements, the Alligator shows trending movements, and Ichimoku also shows trending movements. But these two indicators show us entry points, while SuperTrend simply teaches us and basically shows the direction of the trend. You'll find more indicators in all the settings as well. You can find them through the links in the description. So join our trading channel. That's where you'll find even more strategies. And accordingly, if you want to join copy trading, just write about it there. We'll connect your account to ours so that all of our trades will automatically open for you as well. In other words, you can see the same results. Our stats, such as our performance, are pretty good. That's why I'm leaving all the useful links in the description. Let me know in the comments which indicator you actually liked. Maybe there were some you didn't like. It'll be interesting to read just that. With that, I'll say goodbye for now and see you in the next videos. See you, fam.